Basically, OpenBridge design is an integrated solution of software. So you can see it not only an analytical tool like other product, it actually do a comprehensive modeling, analysis, and design for complete bridge product. Right? The idea of OpenBridge Designer is to work with different discipline as well, and also in a bridge project we do solutions. So as you know, bridge is a component of any individual project, like for highway project or railway project or metro project, bridge is a key component. But along with that there are different things like highway alignment, railway alignment, geotechnical, hydrology, utilities, right? So those are the different disciplines we need to taken care of into our bridge modeling or the analytics we are doing, maybe in the structural forms we are going to use. So sometimes we need to accommodate those things. So here you can see, when we will work with OpenBridge Designer, actually we can work with different disciplines because we are using the connected data environment. And what is that? That is basically the microstation. So that's why we have scheduled the microstation training at the beginning. So microstation is the basic platform. On top of that, OpenBridge has been built, so that using microstation you can actually work with the different discipline. That's the idea of your OpenBridge Designer. And myself, Robin Samanta, senior application engineer for Bridge, and I am basically placed in Mumbai office from Bentley. So whenever you face in your project there are some problems, you can obviously raise some service tickets, or you can write it down to my mail as well. So you can write down my mail ID, that is robin.samanta. You can take the spelling from here, robin.samanta@bentley. Okay, so if you see in this slide, it is the basic interface of OpenBridge Designer. So here you can see, when we will open OpenBridge Designer, you will get this interface. So what it does, it says that if you are working for a BIM workflow, so as you know that we are moving to a BIM workflow right now, because that is not only to create and manage your information during the project, but also if you are creating an asset by using BIM workflow, you can actually manage those assets as well in future. So that's why our main motto is to achieve the BIM workflow. So if there is a implementation of BIM technology in your project, in an infrastructure project, you can really use OpenBridge Designer on that, and your bridge workflow will be completely contributed to that BIM workflow, right? So that is the idea. But even if you are not working for a BIM workflow, you can always use standalone. So this standalone is basically outside of the BIM workflow. If you are going to use your bridge project, then you select standalone, and then in this you can see that there is modeling, analysis, and interoperability. So basically in modeling means geometric 3D model. So what we are saying, or what we are suggesting for this workflow, we are suggesting that you start creating your complete 3D geometrical model, and then we transfer that model to the analytical tool. You do your analysis and you create all your deliverables like drawings, design reports, or reinforcement drawings, right? And then you send it to the contractor. And then obviously there are interoperability. So this interoperability with analysis and modeling, you can see this is both way. Means once you are sending this 3D model to analytical tool, you are analyzing it, you are designing it, right? And then obviously when you are analyzing it and design it, there are changes, and when these changes are there, you are trying to pull back that to your 3D model, and you can actually do that by this interoperability. Also you can interoperate to our this 3D model to other discipline as well, right? So that is the idea of our interoperability. And in next slide you will see that basically these are the three analytical tool we have. So for modeling we have OpenBridge Modeler, you can see, and then for analysis you have LibBridge Steel. So for steel composite sort of bridge, you can actually choose LibBridge Steel for designing it, though it has only ASTO code. But for analysis part, you can quickly check by LeapBridge Steel. Then we have LeapBridge Concrete. That is also a very easy software, I will say, compared to the other product. It's very handy, and this is applicable for your pre-stressed girder slab bridge or concrete box bridge. But only thing is that it cannot run the construction stage analysis or a very unsymmetrical section. It cannot do that. So for that, we have the advanced analysis bridge. Right? So RM bridge basically very open, and it is also following the parametric modeling, and any kind of architectural shape you can do it in RM bridge. Any kind of bridge, in fact, whether it's a steel bridge, it's a normal bridge. And right now in Open Bridge Designer, the suite you have purchased, under this actually you are getting the highest version of RM bridge, that is RM Enterprise. So in that version, actually you can do cable straight, extra gauge, anything, right? Any steel, arch, truss, composite, all those bridge you can do it in RM bridge. And then also we have Pro Concrete, that is for your reinforcement detailing. So in this presentation also, in the end, we will see how we can use this Pro Concrete for our reinforcement detailing as well, right? So now let us see a quick demo how we can actually use OpenBridge Designer for our modeling part, right? So let us learn how we can do the bridge modeling in OpenBridge Designer. So you need to click on the icon to open the OpenBridge Designer, and you can create a new file from here. So once you are clicking on new file, you can write down the desired name of the file. So let's say I'm writing it PSC iGirder. So that is the kind of bridge we'll try to build on the road alignment, right? And then you can save it to your desired folder. And here, this is the interface where you can see you can work for a beam workflow. If it is a beam project, you can do it. But right now for training purpose, we will go by standalone. So here we are writing a name, let's say it's a training. And then you can see there are different options available, right? For modeling, OpenBridge Modeler is available. Then for analysis, there are different tools, and then drawing and interoperability. And our bridge will start from the modeling part. So first thing we have to do to create a 3D bridge model over the alignment. So once you click on Open Bridge Modeler, so it will ask you to create a new file. So again, in a similar way, you can click on new file. And once you have installed OpenBridge Designer in your machine, these are the directory, it would be automatically installed. So here you can see this is the seed file. So if you want to change the unit system from metric to imperial, you can change it through that seed file by browsing the options. So here we are giving a new name. Again, it's a training, and we are sending it to the desired folder. So like open roads as well, Open Bridge need to set up some of the workspace and workset. So once you are setting up your open roads, there we need to include some of the new files. Or if you are already installing OpenBridge Designer in your machine, that default workspace and workset will be automatically done. And you can save on that same workset for the time being. Then we are creating a new file here. And now you can see that it open for creating our 3D model. So if we see basic microstations views, you have gone through the microstation training already. So you can see that these are different views available for microstation. And inside OpenBridge Modeler, there are different modes, I will say. So you can see OpenBridge Modeler, then drawing, visualizations, Pro Concrete, that's for concrete detailing. So different mode setup. So you can use those modes to see and quickly find out your tools. Now under OpenBridge Modeler, you can see that in home there are different options. And this is the location from where we will use the tools to set up the bridge. Then this is for superstructure, this section for substructure, and these are for ancillary like grass barrier, light post, like this. Then if you go to view tab, You can see there are different views available, view attributes setup, and you can fit view, zooms. Those are the options for view tab. It is available. Then camera, placing camera for visualizations purpose on the 3D model. Then if you go to civil, so this is the setup where you can create your own civil geometry, or you can edit the civil geometry what you are importing from different products. So you can see you can import the civil geometry from here, and there are different options. So file format which can read by OpenBridge Modeler. So from here you can see the file type, and you can import through these options. There are different options as well. You can set or edit the design parameters, right? You can update and change from here. You can create certain report as well. You can do certain civil analysis as well. So these are the certain options available, and it would be closer to Open Road Designer. So you can use the civil tab to edit your alignment file, or if you are not getting your alignment file from the highway designer, you can create your own alignment file from here by using these different tools. And now we will go to analysis and reporting tab. So once you are creating your 3D model, you can use these different tools to generate different kind of reports. You can see quantities reports available. Then these are certain elevations reports. Then you can create the drawings from here. You can set up your sheet. You can set up the scale. So these are the tools set for your drawings. And then if you go to utilities tab, so here basically we do the interoperability with our analytical tool. So we have LeapBridge Concrete for concrete bridges, but you can see LeapBridge Concrete, Steel, and RM Bridge have both the options send to and update. So these are our analytical tool where you can send the 3D model and you can take any update from as well. But for Pro Structure, we have one-way interoperability. And then you can see there are different templates what we can create in MicroStation, and we can import it in OpenBridge Modeler here. So these options, right? And there are export terrain option as well, so you can export your terrain from here. And then under libraries you can see different kind of library sections available, which is readily available under OpenBridge Modeler. And there are different tools for clash detection as well under this utilities tab. So you can use this clash detection to detect the vertical and horizontal clearance available for that. Then we have parametric variables, and under help you can see our different websites for YouTube links, Facebook links, and Twitter links. So now if we change it to new tab like Pro Concrete, you can see there are different tool set available for detailing the concrete materials. So these are different bar shapes available. And remember, we are doing through that annotation method. So we do detailing for beam, column, footing, and separately, and we can combine it as well. And then once you are using Pro Concrete for detailing through OpenBridge Designer, you can actually get the reinforcement quantity, bar bending schedule, the report as well. Then under drawing tab, you can see these are the different toolset available. Under here in view tab, different views. Under annotations, you can change the scales. You can set your scales for different sections. You can use hatch properties. So that's how different modes is available, and under different modes, you can go into different tabs and you can see what is available here. So this constant is applicable for creating different kind of architectural shape, what we call parametric cell. So under functional variables, you can do it. Here you can see you can set up the coordinate system, or you can change the scale as well. Then under drawing aids, there are certain annotation scale option as well. So if you go to modeling tab, so there are different options available to set certain selections. And here you can see under visualizations tab through Luminarty, you can set up different properties of concrete as well, and you can visualize it. Right? Yeah, there are certain settings of Luminarty, and then under task navigator, there are also different tool set. Now coming back to our OpenBridge modeler, where we'll start creating our bridge model. So here, this is the option to attaching certain reference file. And remember, we'll start with our highway alignment, terrain, and corridor model. So this geometric alignment, then you can set up with different coordinate systems. So we will use coincident world, right? And then terrain model is basically containing the existing data. And this option one, that is basically the corridor modeling, where you can see the extent of your corridor. So you will find out where to start our bridge and where to end. So these are the different main three files what you will get in input folder, and you can use those files through this attach option. We will attach all these three files, and method would be definitely coincident world. And here you can see that we are attaching the files. Right? So you can visualize also by fit view that how it attaches. So these are two views. One is the plan view, another one is the isometric view. So you can see this is the alignment what we have received from our highway design. And then we will attach the terrain model. So this is containing the existing ground level data, and it has also certain contours, triangulations as well. And I will show you how we can edit those files and use it with the ease. So these are different files, and then also we will attach the corridor model right on top of it. So through attach options, you can actually attach it. So here we are attaching the corridor model. So now you can see that a new corridor, which is basically containing the data of your embankment design, it is placed here. Now let's look into only one view, plan view, and how we can operate these files. So here are different options available. Under this camera button, you can actually on or off a different file. So you have attached three files, but at a time you can on or off through this button. So we are now here you can see that alignment file will on or off, and now we are operating with corridor model. So select the file and then you can push that button to on or off that file. Then under this label manager, here also you can operate the same way on or off a certain layer. So here you can see that contours we have off. So terrain, though it's attached in the model, it is on, but we have off certain layer, those are the contours. And similar way in option one, that is our corridor model, we can see there is a layer called bridge. So once you see it here, that bridge is basically the tentative locations what our highway engineer placed for us, that let's start our bridge from this point, right, and end up to that point. So you can see from these options, you can actually see that what is the starting of your bridge and ending of your bridge, and that is basically tentatively done by your highway engineer. And let us follow the same line for our placing our bridge, and that is basically guiding you to starting and ending station of the bridge. So now let's place our bridge. Here is the option add bridge. So when we click on add bridge option, it will ask you to select the type of bridge, and you can see that I have written it PSC I-girder bridge, and here you can see there are different options available. So steel bridge, RC slab, cast in place box girder, segmental. So these are the different options you need to select, and then under bridge features we have to define it so that it can recognize, okay, it is under bridge. And once you will select your desired type, that will customize the tool for you. And now you can see it is asking to select the alignment, and we are selecting the alignment. Alignment basically the line why you want to place your bridge. So there are different lines of alignment you can see, but we are attaching it to certain alignment, the straight line, and now we are placing our support lines. So support lines you can actually select it graphically as we have taken consideration of our corridor modeling. So we are placing it by graphically, but you can place it as well through the station number if you do it the station number. And then we place 6 numbers of support lines, right? And we select the end coordinate as well. And here in this table, then you can see that what is your span length because it is uniformly placed, right? And what is the angle of your pier. So these angle options and the stations option you can anytime edit, right? Let's say we place the support lines, okay, and exit by right clicking, and then once we exit it again, I'm thinking to skew my pier. So pier number 3 and 4 I want to make in skew so that it could align with our crossroad. So here is the option, go to modify and change this angle to 6° positive. So once I'm changing this into the table, you can see the support lines moved into the skew. So that's easy. This is to change any support line, or if you want to edit your bridge span, you can do it from here. Now here we'll start placing our deck. So for a garter slab bridge, the first option to place our deck. So once we click on place deck option, you can see first thing we have to do the select the templates. So you can see there are different templates already predefined on the product. So we'll select the slab with constraint for 2 lanes, right? So here we need to remember that working point is the main point which will be attached with our alignment. And then we are giving certain offset of 50 millimeter from both the sides so that it can place a gap, which is our expansion gap. Then we are selecting a material, so deck concrete 4.0, right, as per ASTO. And then we are giving a feature definition to deck as well. And then we are selecting it to support line 1 to end support line, because it is asking what is our first support line and what is your end support line. Remember, we are placing a continuous deck here, but if we want to place a simply supported deck where every location has certain expansion gap, so you have to select by individual support lines. Now here you can see that variables of the deck width has been defined through this with lane width. So I am changing that one to 7 meter. So you can see you are selecting it right with lane, then click it, and then you add and you can change it. So through this variable definition, you can actually define certain margin section as well. You can verify from 6 meter to 8 meter, and you can change it to different section. So now you can see that there is a placement of deck, and I can see that it exactly matching with my corridor modeling. So what highway engineers has placed, he or she also placed width for me, so it exactly matching with that width. So I am done with the all information. So I take the start, end point, and the width as well from there. So now for easy working, I am offing my that attachment, that is corridor modeling, and let's visualize in 3D. So in view to isometric views, also I will off my different layers here, which is basically the minor and major contours. So I will do it from here in the label manager. So what I will do, I will off the contours, and then I can see easily that there is a 3D deck placed, and the top of that working point of the deck that is attached with my alignment. And here is the options to change different views. So from these options, you can actually change the view, right? Different view option is already created in MicroStation. You can use those things to clearly identify the structure and whatever way you want to visualize it. Now the option is to place our beam layout. So what it does, it basically plays the beam center lines for you. So we have to select the first and end support lines, and then you will get this option. So where you can define a different garter spacing, starting and ending of the garter, and here options to select whether it's a simply supported or it's a continuous. So now you can see that I am changing my girder numbers from 2 to 5, and I am giving a edge distance of 1.2 meter. So that would be edge distance from both the side. And then I'm giving an offset from longitudinally 500 millimeter from both the side. So I'm selecting it, and you can validate it and you can see it graphically that how it looks like, right? So once it takes perfectly okay, all the dimensions are perfectly set and it's validated, you can see that red button is gone. There is no red button, so there is basically it is giving you a sign that it's error free. And here you can graphically see that how it's placing the beam layout. So these are the location of center line of your girders. So that's what it does through beam layout option. So we can do it from here as well. So for the second span also we are changing our girder orientation. So we are keeping same 1.2 meter clearance, 500 mm edge distance, longitudinally 5 numbers of girders. But here we are clicking on skew ends because our support line 3 is in skew. So once we modify it to skew ends, you can see it take the offset from the skew line, not the straight line. So if there is a skew in a girder, any of the edge, you have to click on that skew end. Similarly, on support 3 and 4, we have to click on skew end, and we are also editing the same values, 500 millimeter gap from longitudinal direction and 1.2 center, and then 5 numbers of beam. We are validating it, we are visualizing in plan as well as in elevations that how it is placing the beams. Right? And similar way we'll continue for our other span as well. So that is from support line 4 to 5. Okay, we are changing it to 5 number of beam and 1.2 meter from edge distance and 500 millimeter from longitudinal direction. And we are also clicking it skew end. Reason being, this span is also a skew end. And then last span, which is our support line 5 to 6. Here we are updating our values in similar way. And then we are not clicking on skew end because that's a straight span. And once we are validating it, you can see that how it placed perfectly with a perpendicular direction to our alignment. So you are validating it, and here once you are done with the complete beam layout, you can see there is one option that you can define in one span if your spans are all same, and you can apply for all the span as well. But here we are defining span by span. Now you can see it perfectly placed. It plays the dimension as well. You can visualize the dimension as well from here, right? And you can save it. So that's your application of your beam layout. So now you are done with your beam layout, and the next step is to place the girder or place beam options. So we'll select place beams, and here it will ask you again a feature definition. So here we will give it a beam group, and then we'll select our beam layout. So it would by default select all the beams, right? And remember, if there is a change in the cross sections, so we need to define it systematically. And there are options like if you want to apply same beam cross section to all the beams, you can do it like apply to all beams. That's what we will do. But you can actually apply different beam cross sections to different beam as well. So you can see in the left there are options to select by different beams. So here you can select from lib library, or you can select the custom beam as well, right? So we'll go by custom, and in this table you can see there are options start template and end template. So if starting of the beam edge and end of the beam edge is different, so you can select it from here. So this table will help you to define a variable girder cross section, but here we will select it by single girder cross section. We have selected, you have seen that it is from ASTO I beams type 6, and we'll change the material from here as well. So we'll define the different material. So we are changing it from here. We are selecting by as to 6, right? So once we will select our beam cross sections, we'll just click on OK, and it will attach that beam cross sections to all the beam layouts. And you can see exactly on 3D how you place the beams. So basically all your beams has been placed below the deck, and these beams are also following the cross slope of your deck. So that's easy it is. It will help you to create easy bridge modeling. So you can see now you can use certain different visualization tools as well, because we can see that it's transparent here, right? And through these options you can actually go to different views. You can use these visualizations tools to change the labels as well. Okay. So now let us select the different view type to easily identify the deck and girder. So we are selecting from here. So let us select a type. Here the modeling, smooth modeling. So here you can see the deck and how below the deck girder has been placed, right? So from view attributes, actually you can select any kind of type, whatever you prefer. So it doesn't matter. It's basically change the view type, and you can select it to clearly identify the girders, decks, diaphragm as well, right? Now we will place the diaphragms, because after placement of your beams, we are now in the diaphragm placement. So here also you have to select the feature definition diaphragm, and you have to select the beam layouts. So we are again selecting a beam layouts, and it is almost similar to the beam layout options. So you can see that we will place the diaphragms span by span, right? And then for fast plan, we have to give input that from top and from bottom what is the offset of the diaphragm, right? And whether there is any skew angle or not. So you can see that we are putting the dimension from vertical, we are keeping a 500 millimeter offset, right? And top we are also keeping 500 millimeter offset. So from top and bottom the same offset, and skew angle will be applicable if your support lines from where you are taking the offset it is in skew. So you have to keep that skew angle there. And here you can select the material as well. So we are selecting the deck concrete, same time. And you can see by support lines how we are placing it. So there are different options available also to place the diaphragms. You can place by intermediate as well. So we are placing the support diaphragm on the, so we are giving an offset to our support line 1. And here, let's see, give an offset of 0.8 meter, right? Because 500 meter, you see, is the edge distance we have given for the beam placement, another 300 millimeters. So it's 800 millimeter from the support lines. And here you can see that we are keeping skew angle 0, because support line 1 and 2 doesn't have any skew angle, right? So again, the similar way we'll validate, and we can see graphically that how it plays the diaphragms. So here you can see how it's connected. So perfectly placed. Again, we'll go to edit the diaphragm template again. So we'll select another span, right? We'll select span 2, that is support line 2 to 3, right? And similar way we'll put the same top and bottom offset, right? And for both the ends, and the offset from support line 2. So it is positive. So you can see that positive is toward the direction of your span. So support line 1 to 2 is the positive direction. And whenever we are selecting the end support lines, we are giving a minus offset. So you have to remember that it reads by the direction. So from support line 3, we need to give a minus. So we can add it from here. So as you see, that first diaphragm has to be in 0 degree, and the second diaphragm of this span, which is from support line 3, it has to be at an angle. And for the support line 3, that's why we have changed the skew angle. And once we will validate, we can see, yes, the first diaphragm is in perpendicular to the carriageway, but second one is in skew. But for support span 3 and support line 3 and 4, both the cases we have to keep the skew angle. So it's very easy. Similar way you can actually define your intermediate diaphragm as well. You can select by span and then center of the span. Instead of support lines, the selection mode would be your span. So this will continue. Similar way we'll define our all the diaphragms from here, and we are going with the same value, 500 millimeter from top and bottom. And here we'll put a skew angle 60. And every time we are changing it to our similar deck concrete. Generally those are cast in place, so deck and diaphragm has to be a same. Generally it has to be a same grade of the concrete. So here also we place for the span 3, you can see it is perfectly placed. Okay, and we will continue by placing for span 4 and span 5. So we select span 4, right? And similar way for span 2, like span 2 for span 4, it's similar way. One angle is your skew, another one is not in skew, it's in perpendicular to the carriageway. So we'll put skew angle in one end, and other end it would be straight. So you can carry on like this, minus 500, plus 500, and then material property. And here we know that, okay, in this support line 4, it is in skew. But from support line 5, it is not in skew, so we can change it here. Instead of 6 degree, we change and we made it 0 degree. So here you can see for span 4 also it is perfectly fine. It is perfectly okay. And at the end we'll see how we can see it in 3D as well. So let's place the diaphragm for span 5 quickly. So here select span 5. Similar way we need to use the offset, or as you can see that you can change those diaphragm size anytime. So all these are defined individually. So individual diaphragm sizes, placing, offsets from top to bottom, and the horizontal you can change anytime. So individual diaphragms will take care by individual dimensions. So you can anytime change those. It's not an issue. So we have defined all our diaphragms, and let's save it. Okay, and then we'll see how it plays the diaphragms in 3D. So let's go to 3D view. Okay, and if we rotate it, you can see how diaphragm has been placed. So you can see the diaphragm has been placed below the deck. Reason being, our deck is 200 mm thickness and 500 mm we have given offset from the top, so it is considering top as the top of the deck. And if you change the view to transparent, you can see how it plays the diaphragms. And by looking into these features, you can actually edit if you need to edit the diaphragm sizes. So once we are placing the diaphragm, it's almost complete for the superstructure part, and then immediately we moved to define our substructure. So as you see here, through OpenBridge Modeler, we are not defining anything by dimension, or we are not creating anything. We're just selecting from templates. Similar way, if you see, we're selecting from template for the pier. So by place pier options, here also different templates available. So you can select your own type of pier. All these templates are also editable. You have seen for the deck part, right? We have changed the deck weight. Similar way for these column templates, all these are editable. So you can select it any type that will help you to take the shape, and then the dimension you can edit anytime. So that's what we will do. You can see we are selecting this 4 lane 12-meter pier. So let's select this one, and you can select all the support lines to place the similar type of pier. So as we are placing the same type of pier, we are selecting all the support line at a one go, and we are keeping it the pier cap length with skew. Also the material we can change it anytime. So here you can just click on that three button beside the material, and you go to that material library and you select it. So what we will place the generic substructure. So at the button, at the bottom, you can see there is one options called generic substructure, but you can create your own material here as well in the library, and you can use that for defining the material type. So we are, for the time being, we are using generic substructure for all those pier cap, file, and file cap. So we'll changing the material type from here, and you can see there are you can define the build order as well. So that's the construction sequence. The sequence of your construction you can define through this build order. So that is here. You can see I have given 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And then once you select it, you select by left click, OK, select the data point by support lines, OK it, and then you will get a edit constraint table that is for placing your elevation constraint. Through this table, actually you can put the elevations by your DTM, that is your terrain model. So that contains your existing ground level data, and you are keeping offset of 3 meters from that existing ground level. So the height of the pier will automatically taken into considerations. But also through the elevations, you can give the elevation value, individual elevation value as well. So both the options are available, but it's easy to include your terrain model into consideration. So here you can see now we have placed the piers. So pier has been placed parallel to the support line. So once a support line has been defined in skew, you can see that the pier has also defined in the skew. So again, there is a options for placement of your abutment here, right? So here, let's say place the, so what we do, we will select the template of the abutment from here. So you can see there are different templates available. Let's select from here. These are for open foundations. So let's go back and select the 3 lane. So that is 12 meter. So again, the similar way, we will select the support line. So we will select the template, then we will select the support line, and whether it's a starting end or it's a end. So that will actually set the orientation of your dart one. And similarly, we accept, we include the DTM right from here, or you can put the elevation as well, right? And then you select it OK, it will place the abutment for you. So in the elevation constraint, you can actually change the elevations of your footing or elevations of your pier cap level. So now you can see it placed a solid abutment here. So it's very easy. Similar way, you can select the end support lines, and you can see that by default the orientation has been changed because the program reads that it's the end support lines. That's by the numbering of your support lines. Similar way, you attach with the terrain model, right, and you place the abutment, second abutment. So that's the end support. So it's complete substructure time, except the bearing. So we didn't place the bearing so far, but we can actually visualize it how it placed. So as I said, the templates are predefined, right? So we can see that we have defined with a 500 millimeter offset
from support lines to the beam. So we might need to increase the pier cap width or the abutment cap width. So from here we can visualize that we need to increase the cap width as well as the pier cap length, right? So that's what the same operation we will do. So this will really help you during the modeling, that how your dimensions fits. So here, to update anything, it's very easy. You just select that element and right click. Simply select that element and go to right click, but you will get options here, properties, right? This properties option, so no need to go to right click, just go on to the right, just remain for a seconds and it will open that options. And then you change this cap size. So you can see that though we have defined through one template, but we can immediately change those things. So we'll use 13-meter cap length for the straight and 13.5 meter for the skew, and the cap width will increase from 1.5 meter to 2.5 meter. So we have updated our pier cap size, and you can see that it has been updated. Now it looks much better. You can see. So it was little bit more than the deck width. So instead of the 14-meter, we will go with 13-meter. Okay, it looks perfectly fine. And then let's do the similar operations for all the piers. So we'll update all the piers. So you can select through the plan or isometric view. Anyway, select that pier, just go to right click button and just stop for a second. You will get that options to edit this template, and then you edit this template with the dimensions. So for skew, as I mentioned, we will use 13.5-meter cap length and 2.5-meter width. So that would be suitable for all the piers. And for straight, we are using 13-meter cap length and 2.5-meter width. So similar way, you can select the individual piers and you can change it. Or you can also do, you can select one pier, you can add to a library, and you can use that for applying to all the piers. So there are different options available. So because this one is very quick, as we have very less number of piers, so I'm going by this one. So similarly, push your values 13-meter and 2.5-meter, right? 2.00, give it OK, and it's done. So already now I have updated all my piers. So now times to update the abutment as well. Similar way, what we will do, we will just increase the cap width, because if you see closely, you can see that okay, girders are at the edge of the cap. So obviously the cap width is not suitable. So we'll increase it 1 by 500 millimeter more. So instead of 1 meter, we will update it to 1.5 meter. So similar way, you can select the end abutment, right? And then we'll update by template. So remember, just click on that element, just hold it for a second, go to the right click option, but don't click it, just hold it for a second and it will open that options for you, through which properties button you can go to edit substructure templates and then you can edit it. So similar way we'll edit all our elements, right, if it is required. Now it's time to place our bearing. So as you know, we'll using simply supported girder, and we'll place bearings from both the support lines because we have a expansion gap here. So here we are giving the dimensions of bearings. So different dimensions of bearing, and through this bearing sheet, it will actually place the pedestal for you, right? So then when you select your desired dimension, you select the support lines. You can see that for abutment, it's on the one direction offset, but for piers, it takes the both the direction object, right? And select the data point, accept it. Right? So once you are accepting, it will place the bearing and pedestal for you. And also it will do an automatic adjustment of your PIA cap level. As you see that we are not giving any update or any informations except the minimum bearing thickness and bearing size. The elevation would be automatically adjusted, and you might have seen that the PIA cap level has been shifted down and it inserted one bearing as well as the pedestal, whatever the size you have defined. And now you can see how quickly we created the accurate 3D model here, right? And this is not the end. So we can place the crash barrier as well. So through these options, we will select our different kind of crash barrier. These are predefined. So we select the crash barrier type, the template, then we select our deck. Right? So it is asking where do you want to place. I'm saying that I need to place it into the deck. So then it will ask which point you want to refer. So P4 is my attachment point. I want to attach this end P4 point to my deck end. That is my P5. So here you can see that we are giving a attachment point for crash barrier as well as for deck. And by this, you can see that it plays the 3D crash barrier as well. So it's so quick and so easy. So nothing you are drawing, right? No manual informations like putting elevations or offset. It is just selecting from the templates and attaching through certain points, and through the templates predefined variables, you are automatically changing your dimension. So that's the idea of your parametric modeling, and also using different templates. So similar way, we are placing the right side crash barrier as well. So we select the point P4, that is attachment point of the crash barrier, and here you can see attachment point of the tail, and this time it would be P1, and it placed both the crash barrier for you. But also you can place something more. You can place certain ancillary as well, like we are going to place the light post for you. So as you know, light post, utility ducts, all those things you can say from here. Now again, if you want to change your visualizations things, you can see how it looks like. You can set out different display style, right? And through this one, it looks like proper solid modeling. This is the transparent one, so you can play with this as you require. Now you can place your light post by these options. So this is by selecting your type of post, and you can place it manually, right? So you can place it like this, any direction, right, in any point. So there are some other option as well. So from where that would be by path, you can see that you can select any deck attachment, right? And you can place your light post. And once you are placing it, you can also edit those elements anytime. Right. So this is one options by which you can place the light post or the utility ducts or any other shapes you created. But here is one options for the path. So you can select the same post here, and you can select the deck, and then you can give a spacing or the numbers here. So you can select by numbers or you can give a spacing. So it would be uniformly distributed throughout the length of the bridge. And you can see that we have placed 10 numbers and we have selected the deck. And so we have, it is similar way asking for an attachment point. As you know, we are placing it to P5. It's a left side. And it said what is the starting and what is the ending. And then we say is our support lines, basically start and end support lines. So by this option, you can actually extend this to outside the bridge as well. And you can see it plays the light. But as you know, can see in the model that it's placed in a different direction, but we want to rotate it. So it's very easy. You select that element group, right? Similar way, just hold on for a second, and then you go to properties and you can change the angle. Right. So we are changing it to 90°, then we can change it to 180° as well. So when we change it to 180°, so we can see that it's updated. Right. So that's how you easily create a complete 3D bridge model, right? By using the highway alignment and terrain model and using our open bridge model. So once you are done with the modeling part, let's have a look how we can create certain reports quickly. So let's go to analysis and reporting tab, and then you can click on quantities report. So it is asking for your active bridges. So as you know, we have created only one bridge, so that is active. So you can create these reports, quantity reports. So this report is also available in the output folder. So you can match it that how you are creating this report. So you can see that these are the format where you can save, but there is another options that is export to PDF, right? So we will use that export to PDF options to save this report, right? Yes, so this PDF file, okay. So you gave the desired page range. So this report is for 3 page. So we'll give our page range 1 to 3, and then you save it to your folder. So that's what we are doing here. You can see that we are saving it to our folder, right? Now in similar way, you can create elevations report as well. So here you can see beam bearing seat elevations report. So that is containing the information of your all elevations and depth of the bearing pedestal. So similar way, we will create those PDF for bearing seat elevations report. Now we can create a deck elevation report as well. So click on deck and then select the start and end station. Then it will ask you, once you will select, it will ask you how many points you want to split or with a certain spacing. So there are different options, whether you go by points or you go by distance. So if you want to create by 2 meter spacing or 10 numbers of segment in a span, so it would be done by share. And then what are the things you want to input in that report? You select it from common references, right? The alignment, left deck eccentricity, right deck eccentricity. As all those are same for our build, it would not create certain problem. But actually, all those things are available here. This will help you to send this report to the contractor, and it would be great help for them for a setting up. And you can create this deck elevations report as well during the construction. This is very much helpful. And similarly, you can save these reports. So all these reports are available in the output folder for you. You can actually create those reports, and you can actually verify that whatever you have done in this training, whether it's matching with the things or not. So for easy things, we have created an output folder of these reports already. Next is to create a beam elevations report. So similar way, you click on beams and you can see that beam elevations report is also available for you, right? And this is by default, once you are creating deck elevations report, it's by this 10. So it's divided by 10 segments to individual span, and it will give you the elevations of the beams as well. So similar way, you can export it to PDF and you can save it. Now from this model, you can also try for creating your drawings as well. So through analysis and reporting tabs only, you can go to create drawings, and then it will ask to select a peer. So once you will select the peer, and then you will get these options where you can actually set different annotation scale for the cross sections. You can select your sheet model. So use this sheet model is already available, and then you select OK. So you can see that PR cross sections is available for it. As this one is the skew one, so you can see that it's taken perpendicular views, and that's why you can see that there are different pedestal swaying animations, right? Then also a similar way you can create the PR section for different PR as well. So that's what I will try to do. And once you are creating your sheet model, by default it will change, and from here you can see different models is available under this tab. Here you can go back to the main model, and again you can create PR drawings for a straight PR as well. So similar way, select that PR, go to OK, change your scale, or if you want to use default scale, you use it, and you can see that it creates an elevations report or drawing for it. Right? So you can try more and more things. You can create apartment drawing as well from here, and you can try different scale setup. So I will go back to my model, and I will show you how we can create the superstructure as well. So here in this model, right, you can go back to your original model, and then you can click similar way on create drawings. And here, once you want to take a superstructure cross section, you have to select the alignment, and then you choose your direction. So once you are selecting your directions, it will cut a sections here, and it will generate a cross sections drawing for you. And you can see that it looks nice. So this is the cross sections at that locations, and it will come under the sheet file you have selected. This you can also edit in the TGN library. So that's how you can use the same 3D model to create the drawing as well. You can place different cross sections in a single sheet as well, that you can do by attaching the reinforcement. Again, we are going back to our default model, right? So once again, coming back to your model, you can actually go to the reference, right? And then you can open all the models, and you can see that how it looks like. So we open the corridor modeling, and you can see that your bridge is perfectly matching with the corridor modeling what Highway Engineers has done, right? And with the alignment, it's following actual alignments. And now we can send through this utilities button this complete 3D model to our analytical tool. Now we are sending it to RM Bridge. You can try to send it to LiveBridge Concrete as well. So once you are sending it to analytical tool, it will ask to select the code, right? And then let's say if we select yes, and you can see that it will transfer the same geometrical model to the analytical tool. That is our RM. And you can see how easily it create the complete analytical model for you. And then once it transfer the model here in RM, you can actually apply the loading, and then you can analyze this model. And again, if there is changing coming from the design, you can update that and send it back to the 3D model. And thank you very much for giving a concentration on this. Thank you once again.
Okay, Utkarsh. So let us go back to our presentations. So here you can see the model we have created in 3D. Also, we can place it in a map, right? And
Okay.
through that visualization tool in Lumenart, we can create such a video where you can see nice video that is for visualization purpose. Okay, now moving back to the next. So basically, you have seen that we have transferred our model to RM bridge, right? Reason being that it's a model PSC I-girder bridge. We have transferred it to RM, but also you can transfer it to Leap bridge concrete as well, because Leap bridge can also understand that pre-stress girder bridge. And what Leap bridge can do, it can actually do all the design for you, right? Analysis and design part. It has also the IRC code. So here you can see that we have actually created another model. You can see a pre-stress concrete bridge, the similar one what we have created, right? And we are sending this model to Leap bridge concrete. Earlier you have seen that we are sending it to RM, and now here we are sending it to Leap bridge concrete, right? And similar way it will do a checking for Leap bridge concrete as well. Okay, so I'll go a little bit faster here. So when we do that, it will actually transfer the same model to Leap bridge concrete model. So here you can see that here is the design code assignment. Here you can see that US ASTO, but IRC 21 is also available, and IRC 112. Both the options is available in Leap bridge. So now you can see it create a analytical model for you under Leap bridge concrete. And in Leap bridge, it's very easy to do the design. So under superstructure tab, if you see, we can design our girder. Under substructure, we can design our substructure and foundation, right? And here you can see, let's change it for the pre-stress girder. So what we'll do, we'll quickly define our different code, right? So under ASTO as well, there are different versions, so that's why it was showing. Then you see that we are assigning our materials. Then we create our loads. So you see how easy it is to giving you the loads. So you give the intensity of SIDL, you can give crash barrier load as well. Then you do the run analysis, and it will actually calculate the dead load, self weight, whatever load you have applied. It will analyze it and it will summarize based on the combination, different combination you have chosen. And then here you can select auto design. So we are selecting for a pre-tension girder, and you can see you can draw it manually or you can go for auto design. So what it will do, it will optimize the pre-tension strand for you, right? And you can see that strand coordinates also with your debonding length, because as we have chosen pre-tension strand, so in the elevations you can see that you can actually see the debonding length, and you can use the same girder design to all the girders of that span, or you can apply for all the span as well, because it was a multi-span bridge. So you can do individual design, or you can use the same stand pattern to all, and you can check. All the options are available. So here you can see that there are a lot many strand, right? And what we are doing here, we are changing the girder size. So we are not doing any changes in the 3D model. We are doing it Leap bridge concrete. So during the design, we are changing our girder size. All right. So similar way you can do it in RM as well. You can change the girder size, or you can change or apply pre-stressing cable, different things. So all the girders we have changed from girder 4 to girder 6. So it's a bigger girder, bigger size of girder. And what we will do, basically, we will update the model once again in Leap bridge concrete. And that you can see it here, that these are looking different, right? Span 1 we have changed the girder. So again we are going through the similar process, just applying the same, because load we have applied, so it is already there, and self weight it will update based on the new girder size. Then it is summarizing all the design forces, then go to design. And when we will do the auto design, you can see obviously the strand number reduces, right? And now what we'll do, the same girder, which is the much bigger girder, right? We'll transfer this information to our 3D model. Right? And if you see here, Okay. So now in geometry, you can actually see that the span one is with a bigger girder, right? You can clearly see that span one and span two, it's a bigger girder in span one. And here is certain interoperability option this side as well. So here what you have to do, you have to send back to OBM. So under tools, you can see OBM sync. So we'll send to OBM. So it will create certain files for you, right? So you can give a name to that file. So data transfer to OBM successful. And in OBM side, in this 3D model, we are here now, and you can see update. So we'll use that features, update features, and we'll select that file what we have created from there, right? And then when we load, you can see that it will show you certain difference report, that these are the area has been updated, whether you want to apply all the changes or you want to take certain changes. So it will give you an option to select certain things. But if you select all changes I want to incorporate in my 3D model, you can update that. And now you can see it's taking a little bit time. So now you can see that this model is also updated. So here you can see that how it is, updated. So that's the idea of walking into a single 3D model, and then all those informations you are sending back to 3D model. And then you might have seen that we are creating our drawings, quantity reports, all those things by just clicking a button, right? We are not giving a manual information to the drafter. And remember, once you are defined all those things in a model, those are dynamically linked, means all the drawing sections you have inserted on that model, it is dynamically linked. So once you are changing your model from design, the drawing will automatically update. Just only you have to do, you have to update those drawing sheet. So no need to again put the sections there, or you have to set the scale. All those things will be automatically done. So that is the idea when you are working in an integrated workflow. So only you are working in a 3D model and you are getting all those things linked. So duplicacy, you can see that we are reducing lot many times in the duplicacy, right? And here you can see that LeapBridge steel is available for this kind of steel bridges. So you can see clearly that this is carved steel composite girder. And if you see that we actually for steel bridge, we do this kind of detailed detailings with stiffener beams, stringer beams, end diaphragm, cross diaphragms, and also this kind of composite box cutter. We can actually do it in LeapBridge steel, right? And here is a small interoperability video with LeapBridge steel as well. So you can see that in OBM, how detailed we have modeled it. So that's the level of modeling we do in for steel composite bridges, right? And in similar way, you can transfer that model to LeapBridge steel. And remember, the good thing is that these are accurate model. All those things are actually linked with your roadway geometry. So whatever the shape of your roadway or railway alignment, this will automatically taken care of. These are actually accurate model, not the approximate one what we generally do in STAAD or all, right? So you can see interface is almost same of LeapBridge concrete and LeapBridge steel. So it split it into superstructure and substructure part. And here you can actually add different loading through LeapBridge steel. Right. And then you do analysis for all the members. So you can go for grillage analysis. Right. So these multiple presence factors, all these things are for live load setup. So for ASTO, it is creating the models. And here you can see the bending moment shear force diagram for different girders, right? So you can use these features. These are for envelopes of HL93, that is for live load, right? So here you can see that how it creates certain reports, and stress results as well. So it does automatic checking as well, run design check. So after analysis, if you run design check and go to the design check reports, you can see the stresses, right? You can also run the fatigue check as well. You can do these things in RM also. Those are a little bit complicated because in LibreSteel it doesn't go with your construction stage modeling, but here also see in LibreSteel how you can easily create or see those kind of reports. All right. So as Indian Railway Standards is basically following your British standard, right? Mainly it in line with British standard. So and this kind of reports, but this is right now available for ASTO code only. In the design part, you can get it this kind of reports with the number of clauses, right? It is only for ASTO right now. Okay, so these are the basic things. So it does a grillage as well as 3D finite element for eye girders, composite bridge in LibreSteel, right? And we got tub girders, that is basically for box girder, composite box girder sort of thing. And then we can see the same thing in interoperability with RM. So I can give you a brief here how we can work it with RM. So this is one of the segmental bridge model we have created. And similar way, the way I have transferred the Garda bridge, I created this bridge to send it to RM bridge as well. So similar way here, you can see that IRC we are selecting the code, and now you can see that springs here you can update the springs. So for abutment or pier or pile, you can actually update your spring value. And when you transfer to RM, it will actually do these two checks, that is static and your model analysis. So that is for dynamic. So it will check the linking of the structure, whether those are perfectly okay or not, the connections are working fine or not. So that will do. And actually I was saying it's a segmental, but it's actually a steel composite girder. If you see, it's a steel composite girder bridge, right? I have transferred it to RM. So, and here in RM actually the interface is looks like this. So you have to apply the load cases here in this upper table. You write down your load ID, and in the lower table you will assign the load value intensity. And then interface in this graphical interface, you can see that how we are applying the loads. It would be immediately visible. Okay. So you can see how we are applying. It's under eccentric loading. Then here you can select it from element series if you remember the element size, or there are certain groups we have created. So you can see the deck beam, composite beam, all these are by groups. So you can put it in entire support, or you select where you want to apply the loads, and then you put the eccentricity and value, and you can see that in greens it actually applied like this. Okay, so that is the interface. And then you can see under schedule actions, basically we define the analysis command that we defined for cell weight, we defined it for SIDL, right? And here we are defining the live load. Here I can see that live load macro. Through this live load macro, you can actually run the live load is in curve as well. So that's how it's easy to work with any kind of shape in RM. So you can see we are defining through the center line of girder. You can define the lanes through outside of the crash barrier as well. Now here is the live load macro for IRC. You can see that we are selecting the different vehicles, standard vehicles, and then we have to give the number of lanes of the bridge and different factors, impact factor, congestion factor, we will put it here. Total length of the bridge, we need to put it here. And then you can see that for class A, you have to select just the lanes. So Idea is that you defined your lanes only, and all those live load combinations, different live load combination as per IRC will be automatically done through this live load macro. And once you are defining this live load macro, it will actually create all the successive vehicles, all the possible combinations, probabilistic combinations as per the code, right? You can see that how many vehicles has been created based on your different bridge length, right? You can see because we have given 200-meter length, and here under schedule action you can see that these are the actions it has been created. So it runs by influence lines. It will create certain files, influence line files, and from there it will try to superimpose based on different vehicles you have placed. So once we run, right, so we have defined SailPoet, SIDL, live load, right? So here you can see that all traffic.soup is the envelope of all the traffic files, and other for individual lanes or individual vehicle type, all those files are also available. So you can see it from here in table, or you can create certain diagram as well, right? So here you can see the diagrams for SailPoet. Sorry, this was for SIDL. So here you can see that which load case we are following, right? And now here is one thing to generate your report. So this is your basically RM view. You can actually send to this RM view as well. All the result would be transferred to RM view, and here you can create these tables in Excel or in Word file as well. So you can see we are transferring it to Excel. So desired element numbers you can choose, and the desired load type you can choose. You can send Excel, or you can create directly report from here. There is other option as well. In diagram view you can also see the moment diagram. So this is for SailPoet, right? So that's how we can work with RM bridge, right? So you have seen that we can transfer the model to LibBridge concrete, we can transfer the model to LibBridge steel, and also you have seen that you can transfer the model to RM bridge as well. And then here you can see that how with this RM view you can actually create the customized report, and then you can add pictures from here as well. Then there are options to add diagram as well as diagram plus table from here. Now what we are doing here, we are selecting the desired components we want to show in the reports, right? So you select those components from this table and add it, and once you're done with your desired results, then you can create the generate report options. So once you are creating the generate report, you can see that you are creating an easy report with certain template, right? And here you see that how nice report has been created through RMV. Right? Then, as I was mentioning, that it is completely dynamic and dynamically linked to your model. So once I'm changing the model, right, now you can see that the model has a report in the model has also been changed. So that's why it's very easy when you are working with the RM, because as you know, it saves a lot of times in the repetition and duplication of task. Now here we'll see how quickly we can adapt the changes. So I have told you that we are in OpenBridge Designer easily react to the changes, right? And in this slides, what we are seeing that there is a change in the span length, and you have seen that how easily we have done it, right? So you can select the support lines graphically, you can edit it, or as you can remember that support lines are defined by the stationing number, right? That is similar to the chainage. So you can directly go to that and you can edit the chainage. And once you do that, the model will automatically update. And remember, the model is linked to your drawing, your reports, quantity reports, and also your analytical model. So all those things are quickly updating. So that's how quickly we are changing our model. In these slides, quickly you can see that the very possible changes, that is the alignment change. We obviously face these kind of issues that in a highway infrastructure project, this happens, very regularly, that there are requirement of shifting your bridge in a single alignment. And here you can see that we are moving by support line change. And then if you need to place the bridge in a completely different alignment, so that is also not an issue. You can remember that while we are placing the bridge, we are assigning it to a certain alignment. Now we are changing that alignment. Now you can see that the bridge has been changed to a new, completely new alignment, and that is by just a click. So the idea is that it is linked to your alignment line. You can do whatever modifications required from the highway side very quickly. And also you might have seen that the shape of the bridge is automatically following the alignment line. So that's the idea of parametric modeling, and you should take advantage from it, right? If there is a changes in the project, you should not restart the beginning. You should just quickly modify in the 3D model, and then correspondingly all those other parts you should modify immediately, like the drawings, reports, and your analytical model. You just have to rerun the analysis to check the consistency of the design, whatever you have decided for earlier. So in these slides, what we are seeing that in a curved bridge, if there is a super elevations in the highway alignment, so how easily we can attach it. So you can see that currently the bridge doesn't have any super elevations, but there is a requirement now. The highway engineers provided a super elevation. So what we are doing, we are just assigning the super elevation to our bridge, right? And you can see that in the fast span, first of all, we will try to assign the super elevation. So once we are adding the super elevations, that is a limit, right, from the assign super elevation option. So you select the super elevations file and ask the bridge to follow that super elevations, right? And it is asking that select candidate. So we have selected the fast one, right? Even within the span range, you can actually decide that from which point to which point you want to follow the super elevation, right? So for the time being, we are following throughout the full span. And now you see that your bridge has been rotated. So that not only the deck and the superstructure, but also the pier cap. So that's why we are calling it an intelligent modeling, because it reads how bridge behaves. So remember, only thing we are doing, we are just taking consideration of the super elevation design has been done by the highway engineers, and the bridge model can be easily modified, right? And so as if there is a change in the super elevations design, you can just update that super elevation file and you can just reload that into the bridge model, so it can easily update, right? Now you can see that we are adding it to the second span as well. So that's easy it is working with OpenBridge Designer. Now here we are seeing that there is a very easy tools to check for the clearance, right? So sometimes it required for complex interchange, or if there is a flyover or two level flyover. So you can easily identify the conflict. Right now you can see that there is a pier which is coming at the fast level of the bridge. So that definitely that's a conflict. So first of all, we will try to modify that pier, right? We'll assign a different shape of pier, maybe with a multi-column pier, so that there is not a hard clash. And also there is a clash detection tools by which actually you can quickly automatically check the horizontal and vertical clearance requirement. So remember, if there is a complex interchange and you need to check the horizontal and vertical clearance every point manually, it takes a lot of time, right? But here OpenBridge Designer gives you an automatic tool where you can actually define certain rules, and after you define the rules, you check the hard class or the soft class between both the elements, right? And then as per your rules, the minimum clearance requirement what you will specify, based on that it will show you that whether there is a class, or if there is no class, what is the exact horizontal and vertical clearance is there. So that's how easy it is. And obviously these are very unique tools which you have in OpenBridge Designer, right? And generally we if we follow a general drawing tool, we need to manually check those things. But here you can see, as the OpenBridge designer specifically built for bridge, so you can see that easily you can identify the clearance requirement and you can check whether there is a clash or not, right? Now moving to second thing, that as I mentioned, that we are working in a collaborative environment. So basically, if there is a changes in the, okay, so if you see that there are utility duct which is actually coming with a close contact with our peers. So by class detection tool, you can actually define that class as well. So once you reference your utility file with our bridge file, so before it going to be constructed at the site, you can easily identify that whether that is having a class or not. So similar way, we are detecting our clearance verifications, that is for horizontal and vertical. Using the same tools, class detection, we can also easily identify that whether there is a clash with the utility line or not. So remember, we are working in a connected development environment with different disciplines. So as you have seen that we are using the highway alignments, right? Right now you are seeing that we are also using the utility files, so utility design. So the idea is that in a collaborative environment, you should work and make the life easy for the construction instead of as well as for the designer as well, because if you identify before construction or before you are sending these drawings to the contractor, so it also save a lot of duplication hours for you. So that's how it is very easy to identify that whether it has a class or not, or if there is a requirement, horizontal clearance requirement for a utility lines or a metro corridor, you can also easily identify those things, right? And that can be done automatically by the software. So the similar process, right? The way we are defining our horizontal and vertical clearance, this process is also similar, and you can see that okay, it's a hard class. And if you remember, you have identified this kind of class, it's very easy to modify the changes as well. So in a similar video, if you see that we have a hard class between peer and the utility lines here, and we are trying to easily update our peer. So in OpenBridge Designer, once you are defining your different element key components, right, it's very easy to change the element type as well. So any phase of the project, whether it's a design phase, it's modeling phase, or before the construction, or it's a checking stage or verification stage, you can easily modify any key components. So it is very easy. You can see that we have selected the components and we are opening the templates and we are changing the values of the templates. Now you see that we are saving this new shape of the peers into the library, and we are just replacing the old peer, single column peer to two column peers, so that our intention is to pass the utility lines uh, within the peer, so that there is no requirement of the shifting of the utility lines, right? And we are not hampering too much in the complete bridge model. We are just replacing one peer, right? So that's how you can omit this class. So these are a few slides where you can see that how quickly we are adapting to the changes if there is any changes required during the design phase. Then in rebar detailing, as I said, that Pro Concrete is now part of the OpenBridge Designer. So along with OpenBridge Designer, now you have the capabilities to use concrete detailing part also. And if you see in these pictures, you can see that how detailed we are, doing the concrete detailing. It is completely detailed concrete detailing. And once you do that thing, definitely it will pay off for you, because you can extract the reports and governing schedule. So here in this small demo, you will see that how easy it is. So basically in OpenBridge Designer, when we will do the concrete detailing, we are not exactly drawing it. So what we are doing, it is also from a table, right? Annotations method. So automated detailing, you just select that I want to apply the reinforcement detailing to the pile cap. You give the number, you design the shapes, you give the spacing, and it would do the automated detailing for you. Then you decide that, okay, I want to do the column reinforcement detailing, and you select the column, and similar way. And obviously you can see that if you want to modify any changes in the reinforcement, you have to do it in the table, and in the drawings it would be automatically done. So that's easy it is. So you can understand that even when after the design, the reinforcement detailing is so easy in OpenBridge Designer, right? And now once you are doing this kind of detailing, definitely you will get the advantage of creating bar bending schedules. So this will give you a very easy hands-on for the contractor. You can send the bar bending schedule report easily from OpenBridge Designer and then send it to the contractor. Also, definitely the estimation of quantities for your reinforcement, right? So in summary, what we are suggesting that OpenBridge Designer follow the integrated workflow inside a bridge project. You start with a 3D modeling, right? And that is also following the BIM method. So in a collaborative environment, you take care all other disciplines and you start creating your 3D model. Then you send back to the same 3D model to your analytical tools. You analyze it, you design it, and the output of analysis and design can be sent back to your 3D model. And this single source of information, which is your 3D model, can be used for creating your deliverables like drawings, reinforcement drawings, as well as your reports, different kind of reports. Also, after completion of your design phase, you can use the same 3D model for visualizations as well as for construction asset and management steps by string, Bentley Navigator, and AssetWise. So our OpenBridge modeler also has the interoperability with different software. And finally, the idea is that you can use iModel Hub, right, for your verifications or your comment compliance from the contractor. So it can be used both way. So thank you very much. Thank you very much for attending the session. Thank you all.